Trump won the race. What are the numbers looking like?
Well, he's hardly 5 electoral votes short of the race, and if you see the key swing states, mostly the counting is yet to be done in few of them, but what would suggest otherwise the numbers that are coming in, that it is a win for Donald Trump. And with the victory now looking slightly difficult for Kamala Harris, especially because Pennsylvania did not swing in her favor, and that was one of the key battleground states with 19 crucial electoral votes. This time, Trump has been able to turn that around, and with the kind of majority we're looking at, as you pointed out, even the House of Senate now has a Republican majority to an extent, and we'll only see once all the counting is done. But few battle states like Arizona and Nevada, a few ballots is yet to be counted. So an overall picture would emerge, but it seems like it is a victory now for Republican nominee Donald Trump, who was the 45th president of the United States and will now be the 47th.
Yes. And what will be Trump's economic priorities in his second term? We heard his address at Florida. He said that he'll do everything to make America great again. And he also mentioned that it was the greatest political comeback ever in the US history.
That's right. It's been quite quite a ride when it comes to the election campaigning in the United States. Donald Trump survived 2 assassination attempts. You'd recall that first gunshot that was fired at him at his rally, and that somehow seemed to have picked up momentum, where Trump campaign, I think, was on a path to talk more about the concerns of the individual voters or the undecided voters, so to say. So he did appeal to the economic side of the issues. If you look at America right now, a country with $60,000 GDP per capita, dollars GDP per capita, is certainly an interesting time for the country. Also because controlling inflation is something that most people want at this point. It is a burden on their pockets, be it petrol prices or be it everyday living. The rise in prices has affected ordinary Americans to an extent that they'd rather trust Donald Trump than Kamala Harris. Even for Kamala Harris, who made a decent pitch about her economic policies, they were not very far away from Bidenomics, carry forward from what the Biden administration had largely pointed out. So compared to that, the kind of ideas that Trump has promised, especially when it comes to imposing heavy tariffs, be it on Mexico, be it on China, the largest trading partners of America, while that has given some scare to overseas investors, and especially for US companies that do trade with China on huge volumes, that could become problematic, because if you'd recall, the last trade war with China did not go so well. But the Biden administration pretty much continued Trump era's China policy. So that wouldn't likely to change much. As for India, if you ask, I think a lot of bipartisan support for relationship with India has existed, be it the Democrats or the Republicans. And with Donald Trump now, in the White House, it should not change much, but only in the future we'd know as to how our engagements pan out.
Yeah. And how do you think, Jessica, India-US comprehensive global and strategic partnership are likely to fare with the expected change of US leadership?
Well, with the change of leadership, there is not much that would change, but we only have few precedents from history to remind us on what the Trump presidency initially looked like back in 2016. Now, if you'd recall, President Trump had very categorically pointed out the kind of tariffs that are imposed on American goods in India is not favorable. He quote unquote once even called India abuser of tariffs, and also the free trade system that the Americans were offering. He had even encouraged to impose 20% tariff on Indian imports to America. So, we've seen those moments of riffraff when it comes to economic engagement. But if you talk about the overall picture, I think United States and America have tread on the path where their bilateral trade has only moved upwards, closing in to more than $100 billion. It's sometimes a competition between India, China, or India, US. So it's that close. So perhaps looking at the picture, that momentum would continue. But then from the previous presidency of Donald Trump, you also know there is a greater level of unpredictability, so to say. But how much will that unpredictability play when it comes to trade between the two countries? Because in the last few years, a lot of strategic partnerships have been formed. A lot of American investment has been made, has been very interested in India. With the Biden administration, you saw the Americans, helping develop key manufacturing, units in India when it comes to semiconductor, or talk about advanced technology. There is ISET as well, which is, initiative for critical and emerging technologies, something that has helped India move ahead with its own semiconductor initiatives. So all of that, in all likelihood, should continue and should not be hampered, as long as, again, if there is unpredictability, one cannot say much.
Okay, thank you, Jessica Taneja. Jessica Taneja reporting on the